This is Brian Putt. I'd like to talk about how get stats works in SIPmath. I'm showing you a small model with two random variables defined. One is the normal with a mean of 3 and a standard deviation of 2, and another is the triangular min, most likely a max, shown here. So although these are defined, they are not defined as output variables yet. I'm going to define the normal as an output variable. So I'll come in here to SIPmath, define outputs, and I'll name it. And I'll give it spark lines. And I'm not going to define triangular as a output variable, but I will define the sum of the triangular and the normal as an output variable. So SIPmath, define outputs, dsum. So now I want to define some metrics around these variables, and so I want the mean. So I'm going to say equals the average of this variable, and I want the standard deviation equals the standard deviation of the sample of this number, and I want the percentile of this number, and I want the 10th percentile, so I'll point to the 10th percentile here. In fact, I'm going to hit an F4 there. And I want the equals the percentile of this distribution and the P90. F4, like that. And now I'm going to copy these down. And so right now, these all refer directly to these cells in rows 4, 8, and 11. And I can take this and say SIPmath get stats. And I do, in fact, get the average. You see I'm getting 2.95 versus a 3 and standard deviation a little bit less than 2. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to come over here and initialize, and I'm going to put in 10,000. See if this gets us a little bit closer to what we expect. That's a lot closer. Okay? And then I'm going to come down here to sum, which, and these rows here, and do the same thing. Get stats. And I get some stats here. Okay, so that's all works fine. However, over here, I'm going to ask it to get the stats of this variable. Now, this variable is defined as a random variable. I defined it as I came over here and I did a generate input. So it is a random variable, and I could go to trial information. And we can see that it's moving around, right? Close. But it's not yet defined as an output variable. So it's not defined over here on the PM table. So when I try to get stats on that variable, I get this error message. And it's telling me that it needs to be on a defined output variable. So if that's the message you're getting, it's probably because you haven't defined it as an output variable. But I want to point out that the get stats will work both on a variable that's been defined as an input variable, or as some sort of calculation of other random variables. So I hope this helps. Thanks.